All right, let's talk about the very near future. We're going to take a really hard look at the years between 2026 and 2030. Now, the analysis we're digging into argues this isn't just going to be another 4-year stretch. No. We're talking about a period of deep, profound structural change on a global scale. So let's just get right into it.
You know, this quote right here, it just absolutely nails the core of the issue. We're stuck in this weird in-between space, and that's exactly where all this instability is coming from. Think about it. The old rules don't really work anymore, but the new ones, well, they haven't been written yet. It's that massive uncertainty that makes everything feel so unpredictable and, yeah, frankly, dangerous.
The source we're looking at calls this whole period the Age of Rupture, and it's such a fitting name, right? Because it's not just one thing going wrong, it's everything, all at once. Our economies are stressed, our politics are bitter, our big institutions are decaying, and it's all interconnected. So you can forget about a slow, graceful decline. This is more like a series of massive earthquakes shaking the entire global system to its foundations.
Okay, so why now? What's so special about this moment? Well, the analysis points to some really deep structural reasons why the world order we've all grown up with, the one built on globalization and American power, is starting to just crack under the strain.
Now here's the really crucial part. The argument is that a system can probably survive one of these pillars getting weak, but what happens when all three start to crumble at the exact same time? That's when things get scary fast. The power to enforce the rules, the shared prosperity that makes the system feel fair, and the basic belief that the system is good, all of it is eroding, all at once.
This right here explains the economic side of the problem perfectly. For decades, our entire global economy has been wired for one thing and one thing only: efficiency. Just-in-time supply chains are the poster child for this. Super cheap, super fast, but with absolutely zero wiggle room. We built this incredibly intricate machine for a world we thought would always be calm, and now that hyper-efficiency has become a trap, it's made the whole system dangerously brittle.
And that brings us to where the new battles are being fought. And I'm not just talking about traditional battlefields with tanks and planes. No, the real fight is happening inside the world's economic arteries. We're talking about the sea lanes, the energy pipelines, the shipping ports that our entire modern life depends on. Real power today is the ability to turn those taps on and off.
So how does some far-off event actually affect you? Well, here's the cascade. Let's say a single drone hits a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Instantly, global insurance rates and fuel prices go through the roof. A few weeks later, you feel it at the grocery store because almost everything you buy has to be shipped. And just like that, a geopolitical crisis halfway around the world has become a political firestorm right at your kitchen table.
Okay, so that's the big kind of terrifying picture. But this analysis isn't just about doom and gloom. It actually pivots hard to concrete things you and I can do. The point isn't to just sit there and worry. It's to start preparing, to build what it calls a personal arc. And this really is the central question, isn't it? With all these massive, systemic forces clashing, what can any of us realistically do to make our own lives more stable and resilient? So now we're shifting gears from the global problem to personal, actionable steps.
This image lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got what they call the fragile household. This is how a lot of us live today. Lots of debt, totally dependent on these big, fragile systems. But on the right, you have the anti-fragile household. Low debt, more than one way to make money, and strong ties to their local community. The whole goal here is to consciously start moving your life from the left side of this chart over to the right.
So, let's break down the financial blueprint. First up, reduce leverage. In rocky times, debt is like pouring gasoline on a fire. You gotta cut the unnecessary stuff. Second, build liquidity. Cash is king because it gives you time and options when everyone else is panicking. And third, diversify your income. That means developing skills, maybe a side hustle, something completely separate from your main job.
So what's a concrete target for that cash reserve? The number they give is 6 to 12 months of essential living expenses. And this isn't money you have tied up in investments. No, this is cash. It's liquid, it's accessible. Just think of it as your own personal fortress against any financial shocks that come your way.
Okay, but it's not just about money. We have to talk about physical resilience too. The blueprint suggests having a 30-day supply of your essentials: food, medicine, fuel. It's also about building in redundancy. Got a backup for power, for heat, and maybe most importantly, cultivating those local networks. Knowing your neighbors, the local farmer, a good mechanic, that's not being paranoid. It's building a human firewall against system failure. So where does all this lead? What's the end game of all this preparation? It leads to what the source calls the sovereign reckoning. It's a fundamental shift in mindset, away from depending on fragile, distant systems and toward personal sovereignty and true self-reliance.
This quote just captures the whole idea perfectly. This isn't about sitting around and hoping someone comes to rescue you, because they might not. It's about being proactive. It's about seeing the storm clouds on the horizon and getting to work building your ark long before the first drop of rain falls. Look, the most important takeaway is this. The rupture isn't some far-off thing we're waiting for. According to this analysis, it's already happening. The tremors are all around us, and that leaves every one of us with a pretty intense final question. When our current system is melted down and reforged in the fires of this crisis, what will you be? Will you be the slag, the useless byproduct that gets discarded, or will you be the sharpened sword that emerges stronger? That's definitely something to think about.